Swadika, good morning and welcome to Newsline, coming live to you on NBT Radio Thailand FM 88 and also on NBT World. It's Tuesday, February 10, 2015. I'm Cholapansa Narula. In today's Thailand Moves Forward, Thailand and Japan have signed agreements to promote cooperation between the two countries during Prime Minister General Prayut Chan-o-cha's official visit to Tokyo. On day 2 of his trip in Japan, General Prayut had a bilateral meeting with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe to discuss the elimination of obstacles to trade and investment between both countries. The two leaders also touched on the investment in the East-West Corridor project, with Thailand at the center of the implementation. The project would facilitate Japan in expanding trade and investment into the ASEAN region. In addition, General Prayut asked his Japanese counterpart to speed up the negotiation of the ASEAN-Japan Free Trade Area, while inviting Japan to increase its support for Thailand's agricultural sector, as well as engage more in the railway development project and the Tawai Special Economic Zone project. Both leaders also witnessed the signing of a memorandum of intent on the joint Thailand-Japan rail system development and a memorandum of understanding on the promotion of Thailand's trade and investment in Japan. Justice Minister Jalrapaiboon Kumchaya opened an international conference on drug precursor control in 8 Asian countries. Speaking at the opening ceremony, General Jalrapaiboon said the meeting was held to seek more effective measures to control drug precursors, as their existence was still ignored in some countries, while the substances were also used for industrial purposes in some other countries. Senior drug-related officials from 8 countries are participating in the conference, namely China, Cambodia, India, Laos, Myanmar, South Korea, Vietnam and Thailand. According to the minister, official surveillance is casting on 2 types of drug precursor substances, those directly used as precursors and those used as ingredients of drugs. He said the meeting would possibly discuss the prohibition of imports of some medicines which could be used as drug ingredients. However, the conclusion on which drugs were to be banned could be reached only after they found substitution medicines with relatively similar effects. Army Commander-in-Chief and Deputy Minister of Defence General Udomdet Sitabut commenced his official visit to Singapore on Monday to tighten relations between the armed forces of ASEAN countries and to reinforce security ties between Thailand and Singapore. General Udomdet met Singapore's Second Minister for Defence Chan Chun Sing and Chief of the Singapore Army Major General Perry Lim. The 3 reasserted the Thai and Singaporean militaries' commitment in security information exchange, emerging threats, intelligence and training. General Udomdet is scheduled to participate in the closing ceremony for Exercise Kochasing, the bilateral army exercise that is being hosted by Singapore this year. Thai and Singaporean troops have been carrying out the exercise since January 31st. This year's exercise places emphasis on tactical flexibility and increasing soldiers' experience in joint operations with forces of other ASEAN nations. The Cobra Gold annual military exercise has commenced with an emphasis on disaster relief and with military personnel from 24 countries participating. General Wuttinan Leelayut, the Deputy Supreme Commander, and W. Patrick Murphy, the Chargé d'Affaires of the U.S. Mission in Thailand, joined the opening ceremony of the Cobra Gold 2015 at Armed Forces Academy's Preparatory School in Nakhon Nayok on Monday. Major participating countries include Thailand, the U.S., South Korea, Japan, Indonesia, Singapore and Malaysia. The multinational military exercise is also seeing participation from China for the 2nd year running. The main training sites are situated in Lopburi, Saraburi and Chanthaburi this time around. U.S. Chargé d'Affaires Patrick Murphy, referring to the scaling down of the number of U.S. troops participating this year, said during the opening ceremony that this period is a challenging one and has necessitated a modified Cobra Gold as Thailand manages its return to democracy. As you probably know, Thailand is globally renowned for its beautiful orchids. Now the government is organizing an orchid market in Bangkok on a weekly basis with an aim to further promote the flowers. The orchid market was launched based on the idea of Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha and is now open along the Padung Krung Kasem Canal near the government house. Many types of orchids can be seen here at prices ranging from 20 baht to 3,000 baht. Mr. Puwanat Kaewplang, a consultant of the orchid cluster Ratchaburi, said that orchids are famous all over the world, with Chinese customers favoring dark red and purple-colored varieties and the Japanese preferring them in white. Thai people, on the other hand, like larger ones with bright colors. Some of the most popular orchids on display at the market are the Cattleya and Vanda strains. In addition, Mr. Puwanat said that white orchids are extremely popular for weddings, where they are often placed in front of multicolor light bulbs to create a special effect of having different colors of orchids. For the upcoming Valentine's Day, he encouraged Thais to turn to giving orchids to their loved ones instead of roses. Also, he said that Thais should learn to cultivate orchids and preserve them. The National Reform Council has voted to approve the Social Enterprise Report as well as a related draft law. The NRC meeting reviewed the Social Enterprise Report, which had already been looked at by the NRC whip. Members of the Reform Council voted 330 to 2 with one abstention to endorse the report before moving on to vote 225 to 5 with 4 abstentions and 1 no vote to approve the draft of Social Enterprise Promotion Act. In addition to the approval of the draft law, the NRC suggested some additional observations and recommendations that will later be reviewed by the Cabinet and the President of the National Legislative Assembly. The draft Social Enterprise Promotion Act is intended to help Thailand achieve sustainable social development through the participation of the private sector while promoting the right understanding about the matter amongst the public. The Constitution Drafting Committee, or CDC, has reported its progress to the National Reform Council, or the NRC. At the Reform Council meeting chaired by NRC President Thienchai Kiranan, spokesperson and advisor to the CDC, General Ratana Wanit, briefed members of the NRC on the progress of the charter drafting, telling them that the Charter Rewrite Committee members had already touched on the content concerning independent organizations. According to General Rat, the CDC has decided to adjust the number of persons to sit as commissioners of the National Anti-Corruption Commission from 10 to 9, and each commissioner will be in office for 9 years. The CDC spokesperson also informed the meeting of the qualifications of candidates for the NACC commissioner seats. He mentioned about the idea to combine the Ombudsman Office and the National Human Rights Commission into a single organization that has a working committee comprising a total of 11 members, all of whom will be tasked with different responsibilities. Moving on to the NBTC inspection, the Monitoring Committee of the National Broadcasting and Telecommunications Commission, or NBTC, has requested that it be separated into its own organization in order to effectively conduct its inspection duties. The NBTC's Inspection and Performance Evaluation Committee submitted a letter to the National Reform Council's Committee on Telecommunications Reform. The letter urged the NRC Committee to amend the 2010 Act on the organization to regulate the broadcasting and telecommunications services regarding the management structure of the broadcasting regulator. President of the NBTC's committee, General Bunyawat Kruahong, claimed the watchdog group needs to operate with greater autonomy in order to properly carry out its inspection duties. He suggested that the group become a separate entity that reports its findings directly to Parliament and appoints its own management. NRC Committee Chairman Jumpon Rodkamdi said the committee is in the process of gathering external information and will include the petition letter in its reform deliberations. And the National Anti-Corruption Commission, or NACC, has met with the National Legislative Assembly regarding the impeachment cases against 38 former senators and 269 former MPs who were involved in the attempt to amend the Constitution to alter the Senate's makeup. The National Anti-Corruption Commission Chairman Pantep Lanarong gave an interview to the press after meeting with the NLA President on future deliberations of pending impeachment cases, saying the NLA agreed to meet on the 25th of February to decide when to officially open the case files of the 38 former senators. The NACC has already designated NACC Commissioner Wichai Wiwit-Sewi to deliver the agency's opening statement on the case to the Assembly. As for the 269 former MPs who were involved in the same charter amendment attempt, Mr. Pantep said that the NACC is in the process of gathering supporting evidence and estimated that it will be able to submit the case files to the NLA in the middle of February. In addition, Mr. Pantep revealed that he has already filed a lawsuit against former Prime Minister Somchai Wongsawat for his order to disperse the People's Alliance for Democracy protesters in 2006. The lawsuit was submitted to the Supreme Court's Criminal Division for holders of political positions. The court will then decide on the 24th of February whether it will hear the case. The Public Debt Management Office, or PDMO, the State Enterprise Policy Office, SEPO, and Macquarie Group jointly hosted a seminar on Monday to exchange in-depth information on Thailand's infrastructure investment projects. At the seminar, Finance Minister Sommai Pasi revealed that the government's Committee on Public-Private Partnership, chaired by Deputy Prime Minister Mom Ratchawong Priyathorn Tewakul, will meet on Wednesday to conclude the criteria for PPP projects. Mr. Sommai said the criteria will allow projects with values below 1 billion baht to be approved by the minister of each relevant ministry. Infrastructure and public service projects valued between 1 and 5 billion baht will require the full approval of the PPP committee. It may be decided that other PPP projects valued at less than 5 billion can be approved by each ministry, according to the finance minister. He said, however, that all projects worth in excess of 5 billion will have to be considered by the PPP committee. South Korea has finally resumed imports of frozen fresh chicken from Thailand after an 11-year ban on Thai poultry outbreak, and that was in 2004. According to the Agriculture and Cooperatives Minister, Pittipong Phungbun Ayutthaya, he said the lifting of the ban has prompted a new expectation of a 6 to 7% higher growth in Thai exports of fresh chicken, from 560,000 tons of exported chicken in 2014 to 600,000 tons throughout 2015, and that's worth around 82,000 million baht in revenue. The ministry had persuaded South Korea to lift its ban, and Thailand's Prime Minister Prayut Chan-o-cha took essential information regarding a chicken export renewal to discuss with his South Korean counterpart during the 2014 ASEAN Republic of Korea Commemorative Summit. That was a summit in Busan in order to expedite Korean consideration. Now, the Thai embassy in Seoul has been informed that the Korean Ministry of Agriculture, Food and Rural Affairs has allowed the import again after it carefully assessed all risks. The first exports from Thailand are expected to begin in June. According to the minister, the renewed arrangement would mean South Korea will take back its crown as Thailand's top importer. And that will end the 11-year ban on the Thai poultry due to the bird flu outbreak, and that was in the year 2004. The Thai Chamber of Commerce has forecast that Valentine's Day this year will generate the lowest revenue growth in 9 years due to sluggish spending in the country. Director of the Center for Economic and Business Forecasting of the University of Thai Chamber of Commerce, Dr. Thanawat Pornvichai, announced findings of a survey on people spending on Valentine's Day this year. An increase of only 4.52% in the growth of generated revenue was seen, and that's the lowest in 9 years, signifying that people spend significantly less. As for the investment outlook, the director added that it was a good sign that the Japanese government invited the Thai Prime Minister to visit Japan, since it showed that Japan paid more attention to Thailand. Japan's stance would benefit investment in Thailand. Kasikorn Research Center has forecast that the resistance levels in the Thai stock market this week will be around 1,624 to 1,650 points. According to the Kasikorn Research Center as well as Kasikorn Securities Company, the Stock Exchange of Thailand will also see support levels fluctuating between 1,592 to 1,571 points. However, the fluctuations are also subject to several external factors such as oil prices, and then there's the debt crisis in Greece, the U.S. economy in terms of its employment rate and retail sales. The Thai baht, meanwhile, will likely hover between 32.5 to 32.8 to the US dollar this week. And that's it for Thailand Moves Forward. We'll now take a short break, and Newsline will return with the international news. And here's the exchange rates and commodity prices for you to see as well.
To maintain a strong nation, Thailand is promoting 12 core values for the good of the people. The sixth core value, maintaining moral integrity, considerateness, generosity, and sharing.
NBT World, a 24-hour English language television service operated by the National News Bureau of Thailand, or NNT, is designed to bring the most reliable information about Thailand to the international community. NBT World is available on various platforms, including via C-band set-top boxes, GMMZ Channel 202, PSI Channel 272, and a live stream on thainews.prd.go.th/newsing. You can also follow us on facebook.com/NNT News or download the PRD News EN application on your smartphones. NBT World, a vision of Thailand.
How could you do that to me? Stop it! Huh? Don't you get it? I don't need you anymore. Enough! We're through. There's someone else in my life.
Say no to the past. Bring your own bag. Say no to plastic.
Welcome back. You're watching Newsline. Now to international news. Indonesian President Joko Widodo undertook his first official visit to the Philippines and signed agreements promoting migrants' rights and maritime cooperation yesterday. An honor guard ceremony welcomed President Widodo at the presidential palace before he attended an expanded bilateral meeting with Philippines President Benigno Aquino, which included discussions on trade, migrants' rights and maritime security. Officials signed a memorandum of agreement on expanding bilateral cooperation between the two countries. President Aquino said both countries also discussed maritime security and adherence to the rule of law in resolving territorial disputes. The Philippines signed a landmark maritime agreement with Indonesia last May to peacefully settle a decade-old border dispute in the southern seas. In other news, U.S. President Barack Obama said his administration is looking at all options in handling the crisis in Ukraine, but he has not yet decided whether the United States will provide arms. President Obama said the possibility of lethal defensive weapons is one of those options that is being examined. The remark was made at a joint news conference with German Chancellor Angela Merkel at the White House. Separately, Chancellor Merkel said that while there have been setbacks on reaching a diplomatic solution with Russia over Ukraine, such efforts will continue. Yesterday, EU foreign ministers approved putting visa bans and asset freezes on more Ukrainian separatists and Russians as well, but will wait until February 16 to implement the measures to give peace efforts more time. Australian Prime Minister Tony Abbott survived a challenge to his leadership yesterday after his ruling Liberal Party voted down a motion to unseat him after weeks of fighting, but the attempted revolt appears likely to weaken his grip on power. In a secret party room ballot, a vote to declare the positions of party leader and deputy leader vacant was defeated by 61 votes to 39. In a short televised statement following the vote, Mr. Abbott insisted the turmoil was over and called for unity within the Conservative Party and the country. The motion was brought on Friday by an MP from Western Australia after mounting criticism of Prime Minister Abbott's leadership, culminating in his awarding of an Australian knighthood to Queen Elizabeth's husband, Prince Philip. The Prime Minister has faced a torrent of criticism that is, in recent weeks over policy decisions ranging from his handling of the economy to the knighthood. The heart of New York City was beating yesterday as a giant interactive heart-shaped sculpture was unveiled in Times Square. Titled Heartbeat, the sculpture was chosen by Times Square Alliance as this year's romantic art installation. Over the last 7 years, the Times Square Alliance has invited architecture and design firms to submit proposals for a romantic art installation in Times Square to celebrate Valentine's Day. The designers invited visitors to interact with the sculpture by playing the various drums and other instruments incorporated within. After unveiling of the sculpture, visitors soon started playing with the installation, such as Julia Waters, who is visiting New York with her 3 children. People seem to be having fun in Times Square, and the sculpture will be open to the public until March the 8th. And that's it for today's edition of Newsline. If you do have any suggestions or comments, please feel free to write them to us. The email address is, as you know by now, in case you don't, it's newsline.nbt@gmail.com. You can also follow us through the social media on Facebook. How to do that? Just type in NNT on the search box and you'll find out more about what's happening in Thailand. If you wish to check out the website, we also have that for you, thainews.prd.go.th/newseng. Today we say goodbye by showing you some really cute videos of a bride and groom being chased by a herd of sheep, and that's in Suan Phung district of Ratchaburi province. I'm Chalapansar Narula. Have a good one. Sawadee ka.